Hey, Ben, just how did you kind of process the last couple of weeks of the season with, getting option? Like, how would you describe just what your mentality was and how you stayed ready for the possibility of being part of the postseason roster?
Yeah, there was really the frustration of getting optioned and not being there was kind of on me. Like I wasn't mad at anybody. It wasn't a woe is me situation where I just kind of packed it in. And, I said this the last time, but there's some really awesome guys down in AAA that I was able to work with. TC and Betch are the pitching guys there, and being able to have them in AAA. And I think that's like, I've expressed this before about the Cubs. Like, it's such a top to bottom solid org, just from communication, from the people they're putting in. There's not a dud. You're not going to go somewhere and be like, I'm not going to get better here because I'm all by myself. So having those guys to work with, talk through things was huge for me. And it's been huge knowing that, even when you're up here, it's not like you're panicking about getting sent down because what am I going to do next? And, I was able to continue the work that I wanted to put in, and then in Arizona and do that as well. So I was kind of all over the United States for a week, but other than that, it was super productive and solid.
Maddie in the middle.
And then with that background, what was it like getting the news that you're going to be on this roster, and what does that mean to you to be pitching in the postseason?
Yeah, two things on that. Even when I was in Iowa and Arizona, I went with the mentality like I expected to kind of be on the roster, and like it was news to me when I wasn't on it. Just mentally, like I was just prepared to pitch, and I think that was kind of like the only way to kind of go about it. Just talking to people, just to stay locked in, and then getting the phone call that I was on the roster is just super affirming, and I'm really grateful and blessed to. It kind of just feels like a little bit of a, obviously this year didn't go the way I wanted it to personally. With our team, we're in the NLDS. We're doing great things. We played awesome baseball, and that aspect has been great. Personally, I did not throw the ball the way I wanted to this year, and I take full accountability for that. It's no one's fault but my own. And being able to be on the NLDS roster, whether I was the best pitcher in baseball this year or I was the absolute worst pitcher in baseball this year, we made it here. And, this is the level that we all wanted to be to. We all want to be in the playoffs together, and being able to be a part of it just gives me a lot of confidence, and I'm really grateful, and it truly is a blessing. And the Cubs have always believed in me, and I'm really thankful for that.
Second row, Jordan.
Ben, just what was it like to see what the bullpen did in the wild card series, and then how much pride did you and Aaron take in kind of being able to piece together the bulk innings yesterday and kind of give that group another 2 days to rest and be ready for the rest of the series?
Yeah, I sometimes I'll play catch and watch a starter warm up that same day and be like, I couldn't even throw a ball right now because I'm so tired and so sore. And meanwhile, these guys are throwing max effort throws 3 days in a row. Danny threw, I felt like 5 innings. I feel like every day back out there, multiples. Kit obviously doing what he did 3 games in a row. BK all year has just been a horse for us. Theo Barr is pitching every tough situation. Drew, top to bottom, our bullpen has been awesome and huge for us. And that makes it hard, when you're not on the roster. You just want to help in any way, but the best way you can help is just kind of just cheering for him and rooting for him and having the opportunity. Siv's nasty. Watching him throw yesterday, he's got great stuff. There's a reason why every team wants a piece of Siv, and his curveball is unreal. The way that he executes, the way that he prepares, and him going, I'm not sure what his last outings were like volume-wise up in the big leagues, but I know that he was stretched out yesterday from where he has been. So he did a lot for the team, and then I was just thankful. He was the star of the show yesterday. I was just able to finish it up for him and do my job. But yeah, great job for Savali, and that's the kind of competitor he is, and the kind of guy he is, and hopefully that really helped some of the guys out. So.
You've had some good numbers in your career against Milwaukee. What do you think it is about your stuff that matches up well against them?
Yeah, I do aspire to have the same numbers I've had against Milwaukee against every team I face. It's just happened to be, so far so good. There's nothing I'm doing different. There's no preparation I'm doing different. I will say the fact that we're not hopping on a plane to come here, and I get to be with my wife here, and we all are pretty comfortable here. It helps. I was always told my first year or last year, the more and more you go to different ballparks, the more comfortable you get. And, it's kind of, there's the same focal points I had last year is the same things I look at this year, the same locker room I was in last year, the same locker room. So if there's anything, there's just a sense of being comfortable here, and which is nice. It's a nice feeling to have, just feeling like I go to the same coffee shop in the morning or stuff like that. So I don't know if there's anything special to it. The Brewers have a very good lineup. I've executed pitches well. I hope I can execute pitches well against every other team. I just haven't done it as well as I'd like to.
Then we've talked a lot about resilience with this group throughout the year. Just what is it going to take for the group as a whole to bounce back from game one?
Yeah, I don't think anyone was really beat up. I think it would be silly for us to be beat up losing one game. I don't think anyone was wearing it yesterday. I don't think that the vibes were super low in the clubhouse after a loss. It actually felt like we were just where we needed to be, and it's a testament to the veterans in the clubhouse and the guys that have been in. I mean, JT at this point's had a full season of baseball playing in the playoffs. I mean, he's probably got more service time in the playoffs than I have in the entire big leagues alone. So like JT and Carlos and Dan's won a World Series. Palm, you have all these guys that have played deep in the playoffs and have lost game ones before, and have won game ones and lost two and won two. Like, there's been so many different stories, and probably been blown out before and came back and won the next day. And obviously there's a sense of urgency. We're putting in great work day in and day out, but there's such a veteran and relaxed group in there where we can keep our heads on and really just continue to figure out what's important and figure out what we have to do to win the next day. And they did a great job calming everyone. If anyone was on edge yesterday, I'm sure we're in a better spot today just because of the veteran guys we have in the group, just making sure, we'll stay level-headed.
Third row, Elise.
Ben, I know maybe the game situation wasn't necessarily the time you want to go in, but just to get that postseason experience and to be out there, what can it do for you moving forward?
Yeah, kind of swings back to the fact that I'm just so grateful to have a chance to contribute to the team again, and it kind of puts a bow or pretty bad bow on the season that I had, but it's over. The regular season's over. I get to move on and get to be a part of something new, and because honestly, for every single team out here, it doesn't matter what we did. It's the fact that we're here. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. We have to win today or win tomorrow. And being able to pitch in the postseason, I'm sure there's plenty of really, really talented pitchers and players that never even had the opportunity to play in the postseason. And that's a really cool thing that I get to take home with me at the end of this year. And it would be really cool to have a World Series ring to go along with it, though. So just the work doesn't stop.
Hi, Ben. You said the veterans did a great job of, calming everybody down or whatever you said. What does that look like? Can you give an example? Like, who said what?
Not to get super into detail, but JT has just been such a calming voice in our clubhouse the entire year. When there's been little ruts, he's always been the first guy to speak up. He's always been the guy to comfort dudes that might be struggling or just to stand next to someone. I never felt like I had such a challenging year this year, and JT's always been so huge for me. And he's always the first, like you said, he's always one of the first voices we hear when we're struggling or we need just a little calming voice. And we're just so thankful for him and the impact he has on our team and on our lives. And he's stepped up as such a leader and a vocal leader on the team and someone we all look up to. There's not a lot of people in this game anymore that have the kind of experience that JT has, and just been really cool to lean on him, especially in situations like this where a lot of us are very new to this or whatever the case is.
Craig, Ben was just in here talking about how kind of the vibe post-game didn't seem like anyone was too down or anything. Just what did you see from the reaction and the conversations from that group after yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, like the game got away from us early, so it's not like it did, right? It got away from us. So, and it's a loss, and you move on from it quickly. There's no penalty. It's one loss. Doesn't count for more how you lose. We didn't lose well, but sometimes, a close game could have cost us some pitching type stuff too. So we lost, you move on. That's how the clubhouse felt.
Jordan, second row.
Hey, Craig, Michael Busch is a good hitter no matter where you put him, but when he's been in the leadoff spot since he moved there, I mean, his numbers have been exceptional. He kind of took off later in the year. Just what can you say about the fact that he didn't change who he was as a hitter in the leadoff spot and kind of what he provides at the top of the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, number one, he's just a really good hitter, and that's the biggest reason that he's there. I think you're right. I think Michael's been exceptional at kind of picking his spots as the lead. You're the leadoff hitter once, and that first at bat of the game is a different at bat, and I think Michael's been exceptional at that at bat. You pick your spots to attack on the first pitch. And you make that pitcher have some doubt kind of starting the game with the ability to hit a home run. Do I have to, a lot of times guys don't amp it up on the first pitch. They don't amp it up for the first hitter, and it makes that pitcher understand he has to do that, or should I do that? And so he's done it great. He's done a great job of it. And he's, overall just had an exceptional year.
Fourth row.
Greg, you touched on it in the first answer, but how big is it that those 5 guys in the bullpen have 3 days rest? I'm assuming that probably hasn't happened since the All-Star break, and do you expect to kind of lean on them on Monday?
Yeah, I think specifically the right-handers got the break. The 3 right-handers, I think, needed the break. So, yeah, I'm glad they got it. Expect them to pitch, of course, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think they've probably, all 5 of them have a break for 3 days in a row. Probably no, but they've had breaks since the All-Star game, yeah.
Megan, second row.
Who's your starter tomorrow?
Imanaga.
Just with Shota just getting that first postseason start under his belt, what can that do for a guy? I mean, obviously the position players are out there every day, but getting that second postseason one, especially on the road in this situation.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer on that one. I don't know what it does. There's no easy. It's not easier. It's the postseason starts are hard. You got a good team on the other side. You got to make a lot of pitches. I think you understand. If anything, maybe you understand how in every pitch, kind of the intensity. You feel it. You kind of just go hard for as long as you can and figure it. And when it's over, it's over. In that sense, it's maybe a little different. Shota pitched well against San Diego. Looking forward to tomorrow.
Craig, the high strikeout totals, do you chalk that up mostly to the 4 games, to the pitchers you faced in those 4 games, and not try to overanalyze it more than that, or what's your take?
Yes.
Obviously, Churio had a great game for them yesterday. It's kind of unclear what his status might be moving forward. If he's out of the equation, just what kind of impact could that have? And what have you seen from Isaac Collins, who kind of filled in for him after them? Yeah,
I mean, that feels like a Brewer question to me. But yeah, Churio's a great young player. He's I think he got hurt against us the first time, actually. So, yeah, well, I guess we'll see tomorrow if he's in there or not. Collins has had a nice year as well and had to play out there a bunch because of some injuries they had. So he's also had a very nice year. So both good players. So we're gonna have to figure out how to get one of them out.
Third row, please.
Craig, with all the games you've been playing today, you could feel like you just want it off a break, but what's the goal, what you want to get out of the workout today? And some of the players are even saying sometimes you want to just get right back out there after a loss like that, but you don't get that benefit. And I kind of want to tie into that, just Shota with the late game tomorrow, just the plan, how you get someone ready for a later than normal game.
Yeah, I mean, the schedule's the schedule, and I think every different schedule kind of has its own challenges. For some guys, the off day is awesome. For other guys, the off day is, I'd rather be back out there. So it's just the schedule, we can watch some football today. We can have an easy day. That's it. We can watch football without having a game on, even without having a game plan. So, not watch football while we're playing. The start time, it's not a big deal. I don't think the start time's a big deal. An hour later, not a big deal. It makes for a long day. I mean, doing this in the past, it does make for like a long, let's go to the field, let's get the game going. When's BP? But all good.
First row.
Craig, hi. The term Wrigley North has been in use for years. What did you think of that when you were here, and what do you think of it now? The idea that people call this Wrigley North, Cubs fans and all that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's changed a little bit. I think maybe when I was the many moons ago when I was a player, and frankly, the Brewers weren't very good for a while, and so I think it was maybe more so true. And look, this is just logistically, this is just for a lot of Cubs fans, this is easier to get to than Wrigley Field. I hate to be logical about it, but that's just the facts, So I think that plays a part into Cub fans wanting to come here. It really does, and that's probably most of it. Really, is that it's just an easier place to get to. We from a Cubs perspective, look, and the Cubs, we feel this all over the country, that there's Cubs fans all over the country, and they travel well, and we feel them at every park we go to, and it's a great thing, and we're lucky to have that. That's, I think, part of who the Cubs are and the brand that they are, and the size of the city we play in. There's every park we go to is, you feel Cubs fans in the park, and we're lucky about that.
Second row, Steve.
We just heard about Ben talking about how Justin Turner, the impact he's had with all his postseason experience in the locker room. I just wanted to get your perspective on that. What ways is he able to help just from having been through this so many times?
Well, I think, Justin has, in terms of just experience in general, Justin has been a huge piece of this team. I think there's really you're not going to encounter a situation, regular season, offensive player, postseason, that he hasn't been through or been through a version of. And on top of that, he has this humility with the ability to say the right thing, as well as any player that I've been around. We're lucky to have him a part of this. He's been had a huge contribution. And, the other thing, this man has had a great baseball career. He's done a lot, and he's not playing that much this year. And there's never been one bit of it's just been, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? And when you keep doing that every single day, everybody in the clubhouse sees that. And that's, so there's lessons every day that a player like that is teaching somebody like Ben or the rest of the guys in the room.
Second row, Megan.
Matt Shaw, the last week of the season offensively, was starting to look pretty locked in, and he was talking yesterday about wanting to step up and, other guys need to contribute. Just, Obviously the 2 walks yesterday. Just what have you been seeing from Shaw, and in the postseason? Do you ever have to worry about younger guys, less experienced guys, trying to do too much? Just what have you been seeing from Matt?
Yeah, I mean, look, that we're dealing with, right, like, 7, 8, 12 plate appearances. So got to be careful to make quick judgments. I think he had some at bats against the Padres that were not very good at bats. He had some poor at bats against the Padres. Was it the stuff? Sun, whatever, shadows, he had some poor at-bats. And you gotta like kind of own up to that, right? I think he had a really good at-bat on a walk, drawing a walk yesterday, that I thought it was a positive sign. I think he's made a play in the 9th inning on Thursday that was a tough play and a huge play. In 4 games so far, hasn't done much offensively, yes, and we need every bit of every person's contribution for sure, but optimistic that he can get it going.
Second row.
Just going back to Jordan's question, 2-parter, just what were the initial conversations when having Bush, going into leadoff, and, he spent primarily middle of the order. Just can you envision him still sticking as a leadoff spot long term, or kind of gravitating toward?
Yeah, I mean, it was long enough ago, I don't remember the exact. I mean, essentially, Ian was struggling a little bit, and maybe we were struggling offensively. We probably were, according, I don't know. And we were it was just sometimes you're just doing it to switch it up, right? So from that point forward, really, we've used Michael and Nico as the 2 leadoff hitters. I don't think lineup construction is a little overrated in my opinion. Just try to hit your best hitters as much as you can, and so we'll continue to do that. So and who's on your team with you? So next year it might be different for Michael, but the job he's done there this year and kind of how he's kind of impacts that first at bat of the game is pretty great, and kind of the start you want your team to get off to.
Last question, Jordan, second row.
Just going back to Shota, we've seen from his first spring, like his ability to dive in and figure out how he needs to adjust and adapt. And right now the home runs are the big issue. I know they're not all created equal, but what have you thought of just kind of how he's been going in and kind of attacking this issue, and the confidence that he can kind of make the proper adjustments?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I love most about Shota is that he is there's a couple things. He's a competitor, and I think he's like a thinking man's competitor, and he also pitches with a lot of joy on the mound, and while competing at a really high level. He doesn't sometimes come across as like this fierce competitor, but because he's really joyful on the mound, and so that doesn't come across as fierce necessarily. But I think he's a fierce competitor, and he does it by he's trying to figure out a way to get you out, and he's trying to figure out a way to be better, and that's going on pitch to pitch. That's going on between starts, and he's really good at that part of it, and we've seen him pitch for 2 years, and we've seen him succeed for 2 years, and that's how he does it to me. And it's, he's a fun player to watch compete. There's no question about it.
Pitch with joy, but also as a fierce competitor.
カンセル監督から話があって、山田投手は、楽しく嬉しくピッチングして、なおかついい試合を作ろうとする。その戦う精神もあるって言ってたんですけど、それはどう思いますか？
そういうふうに言ってもらえてすごい光栄ですし、本当に心強いチームメイトもたくさんいるので、明日の試合しっかりと全力を尽くしたいと思います。
I mean, yes, I'm very thankful for that comment. I have very, very good, reassuring teammates. So tomorrow, just going to try my best 100%.
First row, Patty.
Shirley, after your last start, you talked about wanting to go back and figure out why that pitch to Machado wasn't down where you wanted it. Just what did you see as you went over that, and what was your focus throughout the week?
その前回の登板の後に、マチャドに投げたスプリットがなんであそこで浮いてしまったのかっていう、その自分の調整をしないといけないと言ってましたけど、その動画を見て、ここ1週間の調整は、どういうことをしましたか？
投げミスは1球だけではなかったですし、数ある投げミスの中でああいうボールが失点してしまったので、しかしでも投げミスを怖がって腕が振れなければそれはかえって相手のが打ちやすい結果になってしまうと思うんで、どの時でもしっかりと腕を振って、でもその頭の片隅にしっかり冷静になればいいなと思います。
Yeah, so I mean that was one of those pitches that missed pitches in that game, and that game had a few of them, but that was the one that got hit. And I feel like as a pitcher, if you're scared of missing like that, that's just gonna help the hitter. So I think just as a pitcher, yes, like that's gonna happen throughout a game, but just making sure, keeping in my mind that you gotta stay calm at all times.
First row, Megan.
Is there anything that you took away from your first experience of pitching in the postseason here that you feel like will be helpful to you heading into tomorrow's game or in the game itself?
その初めてのポストシーズンの登板で、得た経験や得たものからこの次の登板に生かせることはありますか？
自分の、今までやってきたことしかその場で発揮できないですし、できてないことが急にできるわけではないなっていうのは感じたので、今までやってきた準備を丁寧にやって、それをあとは試合で実行するだけだなと感じています。
Yeah, so I really thought, like everything that I've done up to that point, that's all I can do. Like you can't all of a sudden like do something that you've never done before. So I think just like understanding that, all that preparation, hard work that came up to that point, and do my best for the game.
Second row, Jesse.
Shota, in just 4 career games, Milwaukee has gotten to you a little bit, 14 career runs given up. Anything about them in particular or a player or two that gives you trouble?
ミルウォーキーと対戦した4試合の中で、14自責点あるらしいんですけど、その中で、相手のバッター、このバッターとか、その問題ちょっと難しいバッターとかそういうのありますか？
全てのバッターが自分のやるべきことを理解しているのがミルウォーキーの打線ですし、昨日もすごい打線のつながりがあったんで、ああいうふうなことが起こるのがミルウォーキーの打線なので、自分としてはしっかりとアウトを一つ一つ積み重ねようと思います。
Yeah, I think all the hitters, they understand what they need to do, and I think that's the Brewers' offense. And like even yesterday, just the next guy was up, the next guy was ready. So I think for me, it's just making sure take it one out at a time, and then thinking about that one out.
Any other questions for Shota? All right. Oh, do you have one? Okay. Do you? Oh.
よろしくお願いします。ワイルドカードシリーズの時はリグレーフィールドで、投げられて、今回敵地っていうことになるのがまず一個大きな違いだと思うんですけれども、ミルウォーキーの昨日の雰囲気とかを見て、やっぱポストシーズンのビジターのゲームっていうのはやっぱり結構プレッシャーがあるなって感じたとか、なんかそういうところの感想ってで、明日そういうところで気をつけたいところがあれば教えていただけますでしょうか？
そうですね、大体、メジャーの地区優勝しているチームでもアウェーになると意外と勝率が五分五分だったりとか、そういう、今年はそういうデータもあったんで、本当にホームとアウェーってすごい大きな違いはあるんですけども、先ほども申し上げましたけど、自分がしっかり仕事をしなければいけない、チームが最後に1点勝つためにやらなければいけないことは変わらないので、雰囲気に飲まれてしまうこともあると思うんですけど、別にそれが悪いわけじゃないので、その時にしっかり冷静になって、この時はこうしなければいけないっていうのを考えながら投げられればいいなと思いますね。
Fourth row.
こちらです。 今回初めてのポストシーズンとなりますが、去年の今頃何をしてたか覚えてますか？ちなみにテレビでプレーオフの試合を見ていたか、もし見ていたとすればどんな思いで見ていましたでしょうか？
昨年はちょうどシカゴに数週間残ってたので、シカゴで過ごしていたなというふうな記憶が今ありますね。でやはりこうポストシーズンがやってるうちは気持ちがあまり収まらないというか、休みなんですけどなんか休みたくない、寝てても体がこうなんかちょっとこうゾワゾワするような、まだやってる人たちいるのかと思いながら、あまりこう体が休まらなかったこのポストシーズンやってた期間だったので、そこに今自分がいるのはすごく嬉しいですし、そこは胸を張っていいんじゃないかなと思いますね。
よ
ろしくお願いします。前回の登板はオープナーで2回からということで、中継ぎのつもりで全球全力でってお話しされてましたけれども、今回また改めて頭からっていうところで、そのあたりのご自身の、どういう入りをしたいとかイメージっていうのは今どんなふうに持ってますか？
そうです。そこの違いはあまり考えずに、前回はある程度球数も区切られた中で投げたと思うんですけど、今回も、球数の制限があるかわからないですけど、いけるところまでだと思うんで、ここのビジターでの2試合っていうのはすごく大事ですし、出し惜しみして初めからゆっくり入ってしまったらなんかもったいないと思うので、もうリリーバーの気持ちで、長いイニングを投げる必要はないと思うんで、それぐらいの気持ちでいこうと思いますね。
すみません、ミルウォーキーの打線というのはみんながご存知のように、粘り強い打線、つなぐ打線、いわば明日はなんか我慢比べのような、戦いになるんじゃないかなと思うんですが、今永さん自身はどのように考えていらっしゃいますか？
そうですね、やはりつながりがある打線なので、本当にいいバッター揃ってますし、自分のベストをまず 100% 尽くすっていうことにフォーカスして、味方がしっかり点を取ってくれるまでしっかり我慢してやりたいなと思いますね。
Any more questions? All set? All right, last question.
すみません、よろしくお願いします。昨日いっぱいしたところからスタートしてしまったんですけども、もうちょっと前に先発ってことは言われてたかと思うんですけども、一つ負けたところで先発するっていうところで、お気持ちをちょっと教えていただけませんか？
勝っていても負けていても、今日のメンタルはそこまで変わらなかったなと、明日のメンタルもそこまで変わらないだろうなというふうに予想してますし、先ほども言ったんですけど、今この場所にいる時点で自信を持っていいと思いますし、胸を張っていいと思うんで、何があっても胸を張って、リグレーに変えることができたらいいんじゃないかなと思いますね。